everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me now is St. Lucie County Sheriff Keith Pearson. Sheriff, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us, and thank you for getting this message out there.
Of course, a really big story, a bit of a surprise. On Monday, President Joe Biden commuted the sentences of 37 out of the 40 prisoners on federal death row. So these prisoners will now serve a life sentence without the possibility of parole. This impacts your community. Two now former death row inmates are from the St. Lucie area. So first, to start off the conversation, can you talk about the case, how it impacted your community, and the details are pretty grisly.
Yeah, this goes back to 2006. We had a family. The father was alleged to be involved in the drug trade, and this was an organization that was also, in the drug trade. And they literally shot this family on the side of the turnpike so everybody could see. Hundreds of thousands of cars drive through the turnpike. They were left there for dead to set an example of. And we're talking about a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old that were shot multiple times. The father was also shot in the groin. I mean, this was like the most heinous crime that we've seen in our community.
And the commutation came today. Did this come as a complete surprise to you? Did you know this was coming? What did that look like?
No, nobody saw this coming. A jury of their peers sat through testimony and ultimately decided that they deserve to die. I believe that. Our community believes that. And for Joe Biden, at the stroke of a pen, to commute that is just, it's insane.
I want to read part of President Biden's statement here when he was saying that he was commuting 37 out of these 40 sentences. He said this in part, quote, "Make no mistake, I condemn these murderers, grieve for the victims of their despicable acts, and ache for all the families who have suffered unimaginable and irreparable loss." Then he added this, quote, "But guided by my conscience and my experience as a public defender, chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, vice president, and now president, I am more convinced than ever that we must stop the use of the death penalty at the federal level." What do you think of his statement?
So stop it. He didn't do that. He chose to leave a few people on death row. So if his policy and his stance was I'm against the death penalty and he commuted everybody, great. That's your right. That's the woke ideology that he has. That's not our ideology. He didn't do that. He didn't even do what he said he did in there. If you go back to that, we could read another quote that he put in there that's just going to make your mind spin. On the first page, he believes that the Americans must stop the use of the death penalty at the federal level, except in cases of terrorism and hate-motivated mass murders. So it's a double-edged sword. You can't have it one way and not the other.
Let's talk about that, because he did leave 3 people off, and those are the people responsible for the Tree of Life synagogue shooting, the Boston Marathon bombing, and the Charleston church shooting. So logistically, if he's saying that he doesn't believe in the death penalty, that shouldn't be used at the federal level, why not commute everyone?
There you go. I mean, you said it yourself. If that's just again, this goes right back to a woke ideology that 77 million Americans didn't want. And that's why come January 20th, the handcuffs are coming off law enforcement. The handcuffs are coming off prosecutors. They're going back on the criminals where they belong. And we're going to see the change that's much needed. And unfortunately, I'm sure there's going to be a lot more destruction from the Biden-Harris administration before they're out, January 20th. So it's just terrible that these families, especially, they chose to do this right before Christmas. I mean, they're sitting around the Christmas table. I saw you nodding your head. They're sitting around the Christmas tree as a family, and they have to now remember this. Just be reminded that those pieces of shit that went after and killed these little innocent children now are going to be another Christmas for them to breathe, another Christmas for them to go out and I'm sure they're just going to send more frivolous motions in to now get their sentence commuted down even lower. But again, if anyone deserves to die, we have a personal connection with these 2 individuals. It's those 2 individuals that committed those heinous crimes. I don't even want to say their name. This isn't a third world country where there's bodies hanging from the bridges to send a message to criminal organizations that they're tough on, that they're to be feared. This is America, and this sort of behavior should never be tolerated. The citizens in our community, a jury of their peers, said they deserve to die for their actions, and that's exactly what should have happened.
Have you spoken to the Escabedo family? Because as you noted, we're 2 days from Christmas. We're very close to all holidays here. It is the holiday season, and this is reopening over a decade-long wound. What has their reaction been if you spoke to them?
I haven't spoke to them, but if you're watching, my heart and prayers are with you. I'm so sorry that that this administration failed you, failed your family, failed the 2 innocent children that got caught in the mix of this. And I just, from the men and women of the sheriff's office, the dedicated detectives that put so much time and effort into bringing justice to you, that unfortunately justice won't be served. And I'm sorry for that. And there's no words can describe the pain that you're feeling, and no words can describe the actions that this administration took to take that justice away from you. And I apologize.
To your knowledge, do you know if the Biden administration has reached out to them, or after this news was announced, has the DOJ, has the White House, has anyone reached out to you?
No one's reached out to us. We found out on social media like everybody else. I woke up this morning and I saw that, and I mean, it's a very emotional post that I put out there, but it's a message that our community needs to know, that our community spoke. Back in 2006, they said that the actions of these 2 individuals were heinous, and they deserve to be put to death for this. And the jury of their peers decided that their fate. This wasn't the government deciding their fate. This was a jury of their peers. And to have, at a stroke of a pen, an administration whose woke ideology is, I don't believe in the death sentence, but just not for these people, only for those people. Do what you say and say what you mean. It's just a coward way out. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot more issues that are going to just bring light or shed light to what's happening at our federal level with this current administration.
I can hear how mad you are, and I want to read in part your Facebook post in a little bit, but would you be less mad, do you think, or would you understand it more if he commuted all 40 people sitting on federal death row?
I believe in the death penalty. So I, by no means would I ever be happy of anybody, or not happy. I would ever be, cheerful that somebody didn't get the sentence they deserved. But it totally contradicts what he says. Does the guy even know what he's saying? Think about that for a second. In one sentence, I don't believe in the death penalty. I want to perform. Why didn't you do legislation the 4 years you were there, or the 40 years that you were in politics to eliminate the death penalty? No, you didn't. You chose to swipe a pen and commute a certain amount of people. Not everybody. There's still 3 people on there. They're sentenced. So if you truly believed in what you say and do, then you would have commuted everybody. And I could respect you more for that, because that's your authority to do so. But the switcheroo is just, it makes no sense what this guy says when he puts it out there.
Sheriff, you penned a really heartfelt message on Facebook this morning, and in part you asked this question: where's the justice to the Escabedo family that was murdered in cold blood? You don't think life without the possibility of parole is justice here. So, what was your reaction when you woke up to this morning?
I felt like I was punched in the stomach. I really felt for the family of the victims. I really felt that, how do you find that out? On the day before Christmas Eve, when families are coming together, it's real difficult, and it's just a shame that this current administration doesn't know what they're doing. On one hand, they disagree with policies and they commute sentences, but there's a lot more actions to this. What does that tell to the criminals? That I'm going to go out there and I'm going to murder a family, and I'm going to shoot the husband in the genitalia. I'm going to shoot the wife 3 times in the head. I'm going to shoot a 4-year-old kid 6 times, a 3-year-old kid 3 times. Leave them out there on the side of the road so that hundreds of thousands of motorists driving down the Florida Turnpike, one of our busiest turnpikes, could see this. This is just insane.
The details really are just heartbreaking, especially when it involves young children. What has been the reaction from your community this morning and this afternoon from the news?
The news has been reporting on this, in part from the statement that I put out there. And then a few hours later, the White House posts on their page that like they were proud that they commuted these sentences, that they're not holding criminals accountable, that they're not holding for the will of the people that sentenced this isn't like the government saying you're under arrest, you're innocent until proven guilty. No, this is a jury of their peers, not only in our case, but in other cases throughout the nation where a jury said they deserve to die for what they did. And at a stroke of a pen, the Biden-Harris administration just completely changes it. And for whatever reasons, it isn't because they don't believe in the death penalty, because if they truly believed in the death penalty, they would have eliminated it for everybody. It's their judgment, which their lack of judgment.
Sheriff, you're not mincing words here. I hear how frustrated you are. My final question to you would be, what is your message to President Biden, the Biden administration? Because they didn't reach out to you. What do you have to say to them?
I'm not going to waste my breath trying to reach a message to them. And if I did send a message to them, they probably wouldn't understand it. You know, our ideology is so different. You know, my message is to the victims. I apologize that this happened. I'm so sorry what you're going through. If there's anything that we can do here at the sheriff's office to help you through this tough time, which has reopened the wounds of these heinous actions, I apologize to our citizens who had faith in the federal government to uphold the death sentence, which they did. And just know January 20th, help is on the way, and we're going to see the pendulum swing and go back towards law and order. And these ideologies, you know, if you want to change it, you know, go through legislation, change legislation. Let it be the will of the people, not just the stroke of a pen.
Sheriff Keith Pearson, I appreciate the conversation today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.